Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here this morning. I hope everyone's had their coffee and is ready for some great information. My name is Jennifer Leace. I will be talking about core communication in the classroom. I did just want to introduce myself before beginning. I am born and raised from South Florida. I went all the way to Pennsylvania to get my bachelor's from Penn State. And then I came back to Florida. I couldn't stand the cold and got my master's at Nova Southeastern University. I have been with Storck for almost 3 years now, and I work primarily with the preschool, with our high ability outpatient clinic, and our now McKay kindergarten class. So I'm just going to share my screen and begin. I hope everyone can see my PowerPoint. If you can't, just let me know. Okay, so what are we going to discuss? So I'm going to introduce and explain monthly core words. I'm going to define and identify core vocabulary. I'm going to discuss the benefits, challenges, and strategies for teaching core vocabulary. I'm going to discuss use of AAC tools to develop language and communication skills for life. And I'm going to highlight activities and ways to target communication using core words throughout the day. So what is core vocabulary? Core vocabulary are the most frequently used words that we speak and write. There are 300 to 350 of our most frequent words, and they're about 80% of the words we say. So they're made up of pronouns, prepositions, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, demonstratives, and a few nouns. So for example, some words are I, want, go, in, out, and I'll talk a little bit more about them later on. Core words can express a wide variety of concepts with just a small number of words. And the remaining 20% is made up of fringe, which is the extended vocabulary. And it varies widely from person to person, and it's difficult to predict. So what is AAC? AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, and it's used to supplement speech for individuals who have difficulty getting their needs met. And it can be gestures, so pointing, it could be signs, so using those basic signs, the I want, the more, the all done. It could be picture cards, or it could be high-tech computer devices that are speech generated, so they actually talk for you. So I actually, at the end, if we have time, I do have some examples with me to show you. AAC can be used with nonverbal speakers, or can just be a temporary aid for individuals who need some support. So, for our nonverbal kids, it could be used to totally help them communicate, or with some individuals who might just need a little bit help, making those longer sentences, or for those constant models, they could also be used with them. AAC can be used in all environments. So like home, the school, playground, when you're eating meals, when you're playing with friends, and it should be used in all environments so that the individual gets used to using it and can really become proficient in it. So here is a speech sample for a typical child who is 3 years old. And the words in red are the core words. So you can see that at 3 years old, these are the core words that a 3-year-old should be saying. So I, it, on, here, you, go. And you can see how you can make all these different phrases with just those core words. So why is core vocabulary key? So core vocabulary can be used to communicate many language functions. So for social, so for greeting, we could say hello, goodbye, or thank you. To request, so I want, more, describing, talking about how it looks, if it's big, if it's little, how many you have, if you have a question. So when you're in school, you can ask questions to your teachers or to your parents. Direct, if you want to just directly tell them something, or even to just provide some more information. So here is an example of 100 frequently used core words. So here you can see that they're made up of interjections, pronouns, question words, action verbs, helping words, adjectives, preposition, conjunctions, and determiners. So you could see here that just from these core words, there's many, phrases that you could say. You can request, you could say, I want, you could say, answer yes, no questions. You could, thank your teacher. You could ask please, you could say hello and goodbye. You can ask questions to your friend, your teachers, your parents. You could talk about, on the playground, stop and go, turn taking, even when you're eating or drinking, you could talk about. You can also talk about describing adjectives. So how it looks, if it's big, if it's little, talking about cars, going fast, going slow. So these are just core words, and think about how many different, things you could say with just using core words, and all the different environments they can also be used. So how do we currently teach core vocabulary, and why do we teach core vocabulary? So very few therapists and teachers target understanding and use of core vocabulary within the context of the classroom and for communication in general. So we typically only focus on fringe, not core vocabulary. And I'm going to explain this a little bit later, but that's because fringe is much easier to show in a picture, and I'll show that later. So here is a manual core board. So this is static. It's just a sheet, and you can just, point to the different pictures to communicate what you want, and it does not talk. So as you can see, you see the different colors, which is called the Fitzgerald key. So a lot of people or therapists might use a modified Fitzgerald key, which is when different categories are color coded, which helps our visual kiddos, remember where things are and understand that different colors mean a different category. So you can see here, yellow is pronouns, green are verbs, the blue are the adjectives, the orange are the nouns, the pink are the prepositions and the social words, and the red are the important function words, negation, and emergency words. And at the end, I'll actually show you one I have here with me. So this is a high-tech device. So this actually speaks for you. So it has the same system, the Fitzgerald key, but when you press it, it actually activates it. And I'll show you that as well later on if we have time. So why is there limited focus on core vocabulary? So it's often difficult to represent by pictures. Like I said, it's kind of hard to show a picture of put or get or like or want or have. Those are more abstract words. And it's easier to target those nouns. So a dog, a ball, a house, or a bus can be shown with very concrete pictures that we all understand. Also, curriculum is highly focused on academics. So, in school, when we're in preschool, we're learning about the days of the week, the colors, the temperature outside, the months of the year. So those are typically, there's a higher focus on those concepts. Teachers are also highly focused on having the student communicate to express their knowledge in a question answer format. So a lot of the times teachers or parents or, all of us will ask questions, what do you want? Instead of, giving them the option to use their core words to tell the teacher what they want. So with this focus, other aspects of receptive and expressive language skills for communication are typically not targeted and therefore are not practiced and learned by students with disabilities. So true or false? The more buttons, vocabulary you have, the harder it is to convey your message. So that is actually false. The more messages, the more buttons you have, the more your child or individual will be able to say. If you give them more opportunities and more words to communicate with, they'll be able to build sentences to talk about, not just those core words, but also talk about what they're eating, what they want to play with, talk about describing what they're playing with, the color of the car, or is the car going fast or slow? And when you're playing with those activities. So we're going to first talk about the core word on. So how would you teach this word in class and in therapy? So when you're talking about the word on, it can be used with many different scenarios. You could talk about turning on the light, talking about someone on the bike, telling, the student to hold on or to follow directions to sit on the chair, having, the children get up and stand on their feet, having them put something on the table, telling your child to put your shoes on, even singing nursery rhymes, the wheels on the bus, that song, you sing that song all throughout the day and you target on so many times. Also, Simon says, put your hands on your nose. You can work on body parts. You can have them put it on their eyes, on their nose, on their mouth. So that targets on. And then also, the basic concept of learning body parts. So here are some classroom ideas for on. So you can have, make it fun. Have your child shine a flashlight on items on the room. So you can have them follow directions, which can also work on identifying different things in the room and seeing if they're understanding common objects. So shine the flashlight on the table, shine the flashlight on the chair, shine the flashlight on the door, or even things in the room, on the car, on the bubbles, all different things. You can then have the child be the director and tell you what to do. So this works expressively. So they can tell you what to shine the flashlight on. You can also, this could be at home. All of these can also be at home. You can have them dress their favorite stuffed animal or their favorite doll or their favorite dinosaur and have them put the clothes on. So, you can have them put the shirt on, put the shoes on, put the hat on, even with potato head, which we do all the time. And you want to make sure to make it fun and, fun and motivating for them so that they want to continue to play with you. You can even, when you're outside on the playground, have them get on the swing or get on the trampoline or go on the ladder or ride on the bike. And for our higher kids, if they're writing, you can even have them write on the chalkboard, which we don't necessarily see really anymore, but have them write, have them write on a dry erase board, or even with stacking some blocks, have them put the blue on top of the purple. So here is another example of a core word, go. So with go, you can target with counting 1, 2, 3, go, or when you're in the car, or if you're even moving like up playing with cars, you can have it go and stop, or talking about following directions. Let's go to the playground, or go sit down, or even if they need to tell you something that they have to go to the bathroom. Also, when you're driving in the car, you can teach that red means stop and green means go. So that can tie that go actually has a meaning and the car can go fast. So here is my first video I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second. All right, I hope everyone can hear it. If you can't, just send me a chat.
I like to go. I like to go fast. I like to go slow. I like to go high. I like to go low. I like to go up. I like to go down. I like to go straight. I like to go around. How do you like to go?
So I like that video because it shows you that the core word go is paired with so many fringe words that is also teaching more vocabulary. So go up, go down, go straight, go around. So you can pair all of these words with that extended fringe vocabulary to teach so many concepts. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. So sorry. Find my spot. All right. So what we need to do more of, we need to teach meaning and use of core words and all their uses and meaning. So like I just said, with on and go, it doesn't just mean put on or go fast. You can use on and go with all these other vocabulary words to communicate so much more than just one, meaning. They must be contextually based and have meaning, like I just said, and relevant for the situation. So you might use go outside on the playground, ready, set, go. But when you're in the car, you might use go and stop. So it really depends on the situation that you're in. They should be taught throughout the day across various activities, various people, and various contexts. So which is what I just said. You want to make sure you're incorporating it with a lot of activities, with all different people, not just with the teachers, with the therapists, with parents, with friends, so that they're understanding and generalizing the word, and with various contexts. And it's important that everyone is a team. So we all have to work together to make sure our kiddos are learning these words. So to facilitate learning, student must be engaged and motivated and see a connection and enjoy the interaction. So obviously we want to make sure that our kids or whoever we're, teaching these words to are having fun and it's relevant to them. All right, here is my next video, which is going to talk about aided language input, which I will explain after the video.
Your turn. Yes, your turn. That's it. Ready? Push it in. Push it in. Good job. In, that's it. You put it in. My turn. Ready, set, go. I put it in the hay. Your turn. That's it. Good job. I think it's your turn. Your turn. Take it out. That's it. And put it in. Put it in. Good job. My turn. Ready, set, go. I put it in. It's in the hay. Oh, you like this game. I like this game. You like it too. Oh, it's a very good game. Very good game. More? Yeah, good idea. Let's play some more. Is it my turn? Oh, it's my turn. That's it. I'll put it in the hay. Push, push. Oh, it's in the hay. It's in, that's it. It's in the hay.
Okay, so I did want to just rewind it a little. So I will be showing you at the end, but this is a static core board. So as you can see, she was saying put it in and only pointing to in, which is okay. It's okay if you don't have all of the words on the board. She's really just reinforcing the word in and I like or I want and out. So she was using aided language input, which serves as models of many language targets. So you could see every single time she put the stick in, she was pointing to in. So it's important to build in the wait and signal strategy to allow the individual to respond. So you saw that she was pausing a little bit to allow the individual to also then wait and think about what he wanted to say. By using this approach, you are showing learners that they can communicate in response to others, to other language, and you don't necessarily have to ask questions. You can just model and then wait for them to spontaneously comment or request. So you see that she's not really providing any physical prompts. She's not pulling his hand and pointing to what she wants, because then that really defeats the purpose, because he's not communicating on his own. You want to allow the individual time to process what they want to say and use the board correctly so that they can understand, that in means in and out means take out. So here's my next video I have right after, and I will talk about it after when it's all done. Can everyone see my video? Just want to make sure. If you can't, just send me a chat so I know.
Push. You want to push the sticks? Sticks, sure. Twinkle, push. You want your push toy or do you want sticks? Oh, you want that stick? Sticks. I'm gonna play my sticks too. Trade. Trade. We're playing the sticks. What do you want to tell me? I saw you looking. Trade. Trade. We're playing the sticks. My turn. Sticks? That's right, we are playing the sticks.
Sticks.
We are playing the sticks. We are playing the sticks. And we can play the drums. Trade. Trade. Oh, you're all done with the drums. You can say I want more. Sticks, sure. While we play sticks, should we sing or whistle?
Help.
I can help you.
Get.
I can help you
Help.
get something. Oh, the guitar.
Guitars.
I don't have the guitar today.
Whistle.
Whistle, sure.
Help.
You whistle.
Whistle.
Trade. Ooh, the maracas. Trade. We're playing
Play.
the maracas.
Maracas. Sticks.
Sticks? You want the sticks?
All right. So
We're playing
Play.
the maracas.
So I like that video a lot because it shows you that, not every session is super structured and you're sitting in a chair and you're working on, really rote tasks, put in, take out. She was taking the individual's lead. She was letting him pick what he wanted. And then she was just modeling it using that, aided language input, modeling exactly what he was reaching for or gesturing towards to show him, to use the device. And in the beginning, she even moved it a little closer to him, which goes back to you want to always make sure that the device is accessible so that the individual or client can use it. So in the video, you can see the child is making choices with a high-tech AAC device, and the teacher or the therapist is modeling the use of the device. So you should always be modeling communication, just like we model verbal language for our children. If the child shows interest in an item or activity, you should prompt the child to request with using his device. And if they use the device, you should respond to their communication right away and give them what they requested and respond verbally. So you saw in the video where he kind of whined and protested a little bit. So she redirected him to, use a device to communicate what he wanted. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. So this chart is interesting. It tells you the number of exposures to learn a new word. So someone who has an above average IQ requires 30 exposures to learn a word. Someone with an average level IQ requires 35 exposures to learn a word. Someone who's a slower learner requires 40 exposures to learn a new word. Someone who has a mild cognitive impairment requires 45 exposures to learn a new word. And someone with a moderate cognitive impairment requires 55 exposures to a new word. So, some of our individuals who might have that mild to moderate cognitive impairment require 45 times to learn a word. So think about using the word in. You would have to expose them to that word 45 times for them just to learn it, just that one word. So the average 18-month-old child has been exposed to 4,380 hours of oral language at a rate of 8 hours per day. So a child who has a communication system and receives therapy 2 times per week for 20 to 30-minute sessions will reach the same amount of language exposure in 84 years, which is a long time, which shows that it can't just all be done in therapy. We all need to be working together as a team, the teachers, the therapists, the parents, so that we can really get this child to learn all the vocabulary core words and all vocabulary. So some points to remember. We need to be giving models, 50 to 350 times before independent spontaneous use is noted. So typically developing children start combining words, so putting 2 words together, like I want, more please, drink please, when they have acquired 50 spontaneously expressive words. So an individual first needs to have 50 expressive words, so they must be able to say 50 words before they're able to put those 2 words together. And before they're even able to have those expressive words, they need to understand first what those words mean. They have to, receptively know all those words before they can express it. So I know I kept saying this whole time about a team approach. So a team is so important with our kids. So a team must teach students who use AAC at the appropriate level for their current needs in a variety of contexts, in a variety of ways, for a variety of functions, and by frequent modeling vocabulary and language targets. So like I said, we all need to be modeling. It's not just, the speech pathologist. We have to do the teachers, the physical therapist, the occupational therapist, the parents. So for a variety of functions, so for commenting, asking questions, rejecting, describing, for social functions, in a variety of ways and in a variety of contexts. So like I said before, with in and on and go, all those core words, it's not just go fast, it could be go fast, go up, go straight, and a variety of activities. So with the flashlight, like I talked about before, or with playing Simon Says, or with dressing up, you need to make sure you're making it motivating for your child. So like I said, this cannot be, I need to move I'm sorry, I can't, hold on. This cannot be done by one staff member alone. So a year of core vocab, what is it and how does it work? Essentially, this is an easy way for everyone to focus on the same words across settings. So the classroom, therapy, home. So the hope is to increase exposure and experience to the words to help set our students up for future success. So what this is you provide the core words to the classroom and at home so that there's consistency. So they're learning, they're being exposed to these words at school and at home. So we're really increasing those models. So either using these words to become an AAC user or for our nonverbal communicators, or even just learning sight words for our verbal communicators. I really want to, reiterate the fact that it's not just for our nonverbal kids. Learning these core words is also learning, the sight words and our vocabulary for our verbal kids. All right, I have one more video. And then we will talk a little bit about it when I am done.
My name is Liv, and I'm a speech-language pathologist at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. And today, I'm going to be giving you my top 3 tips for using augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, at home. We often hear from parents that they don't use AAC at home because they know what their child is saying. Parents definitely know their child best, there's no doubt. But we can't assume that they don't have more to say. They could have so much more that they want to say, and this gives them practice with their AAC system so that they can use it with other people who are maybe less familiar with them, and they might not know what they're saying. So here are my top 3 tips. My first tip is to always have it available. So where is your AAC device? Is it ready to use so that your AAC user can communicate quickly and easily? It's important to give your AAC user access to their system at all times. So this means that it's charged, within reach, or is always in the same place, especially if your AAC user doesn't access their system independently yet. My second tip is to model. As we know, children learn how to speak by hearing their parents and the other people around them speak all the time. It's the same with AAC users. They also need to see what it looks like to communicate with an AAC system in their interactions with people. We can't just expect them to learn their AAC device without being shown how to use it. So how do we do this? By pointing to words when you talk with your AAC user. This is called aided language stimulation. You don't need to model every single word you say. Instead, model the most important words. Do this at or slightly above your AAC user's language level. So if they're primarily using gestures or single words to communicate, or are perhaps new to AAC, model single words. And if they are using, a couple words, maybe model 2 to 3 word combinations.
A dog.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I see the dog too.
Oh, yeah.
What else do you see? We could say, I see. Go to groups. Good job. Nature. Nice.
I see a
Bush.
A bush. Yeah, I see a big bush too. I know. I don't know where it goes either. Should we put it over here or over here? Yeah! Good job. Only about 1,000 more pieces. Oh, she is singing. She is singing. Ooh. This song is bad. Once you feel comfortable with their device and modeling with it, find motivating opportunities to use it in your daily routine. Creating more opportunities means your AAC user will learn to use their device faster. Not to mention, this could help them generalize these skills, learning to use their device in different activities and with different people. What should we have for dinner tonight? I want
To eat.
to eat could we eat? Are we feeling sushi? KFC?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Good choice. Hey, Zach, what should we do today?
I want.
You could go to play.
I want to play. I want to play.
Oh, guitar. We could go to groups. Music.
Okay. Oh, here.
Guitar.
Nice.
I want to play guitar.
Awesome. Let's do it.
I don't like that. Stop. Please.
Thanks again for taking the time to learn about how you can support communication at home. Bye for now. Hi, everyone. My name is...
So I'm not going to repeat too much of what the video said because I think it did, explain those 3 tips very clearly, but I did want to touch on that the first tip was to always make sure it's accessible and charged. So a lot of the times, we forget because it's, we always are charging our phones. If your child does have a device, you should get in the habit of charging it every single night like you charge your phone, because it's just like a phone battery. So if you use it throughout the day, it's going to die. So you want to make sure it's always accessible and charged. I also want to point out that this user was using the device across all different settings. So while he was watching TV, he was commenting about, it was good show, it was a bad show. They were talking about in the kitchen using the device, and when they were playing music or requesting that they wanted Taco Bell even. I also wanted to point out that this individual was verbal. He did have some words, but he was using it to just help expand his sentences for some words he wasn't able to say. So maybe this individual had a stroke and he has some word finding, and he's able to say some words, but just not all the words that he would like to say. So also I want
Liv,
to,
and I'm a speech language.
sorry about that. I want to just continually remind you guys about model. It's so important that you are modeling using this device, or even going back to those core boards. You're modeling using these words so that these individuals are really learning these words across all different contexts and settings. Okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint. Sorry, I am not PowerPoint savvy. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's some tips for facilitation. So here are some do's and some don'ts. I'm going to first start with the don'ts. So don't expect a user to know how to communicate without the models and instruction. So you should always start with that aided language stimulation. You should always just be modeling, what you would say, and then give some wait time to allow them to use the board. You don't want to do all the talking. You want to allow them to, obviously communicate what they want. You don't want to over prompt. Like I said, you want to give them some wait time to think about what they would like to say. You don't want to only teach requesting. Remember, you want to work on all language functions. So requesting, commenting, terminating, describing, social functions, all the different language functions. You don't want to reprompt too quickly because you want to give them some time to think about and process what you just said. You don't want to provide only nouns. So you don't want to just talk about one type of, one category. You want to work on all the parts of speech. You don't want to focus on vocabulary that won't be functional or used tomorrow. So you want to make sure that it's functional for the kid. So if you're working, with an adult, let's say your individual is an adult, you're not going to be working with necessarily, the days of the week and the colors and stuff like that. You're going to be working on stuff that's functional for them. So maybe ordering at a restaurant, or helping them, interview with someone. Or let's say for your kiddo, you're going to be working on those basic concepts. You don't want to remove the device. You want to make sure it's always accessible, like in that video where she moved the device closer to the child. You don't want to move symbols because you want to make sure that when you keep the symbols where they are, that's how they motor plan and remember, I want is here, more is over here, because it becomes, memory to them. You want to make sure that you don't want to stop the babbling. So you don't want to stop them from exploring. You want to make sure that they're able to explore and get comfortable with their device. You don't want to keep the device in their desk or backpack. Like I said, it should always be accessible, and you should not expect sentences right away. So like the video said, you're going to start a little bit or at their level. So if they're at the 1-word level, they're not going to be at sentences tomorrow. They need to learn to get up to that. So it's just like talking. You go from 1 word to combining 2 words to 3 words and so on. So it's the same thing with the device. So like I said, throughout this presentation, you should always model, model, model. So always model expected communication before expecting to see those behaviors from the user. You want to presume competence. You want to follow the prompt hierarchy, which I'm going to talk about right after I go through this list. You want to teach all language functions, like I said before. You want to wait 10 to 20 seconds before reprompting. So you want to give them that time to think about what they want to say and think about, where that word is on the board or on the device. You want to provide all core words, so all the different categories. You want to color code the parts of the speech, like I talked about before, the Fitzgerald key. You want to keep the icon placement constant. So you want to keep all the icons in the same place so that they can start the motor plan in their head and, if they remember exactly where those buttons are. You want to allow user time to explore and learn the system. You want to make AAC available at all times, provide aided language input, which is those models, and ask open-ended questions. So you don't want to ask them yes, no, because, they could just gesture yes or no. You want to ask them, an open-ended question that would require them to actually use whatever the core board or the device to get their needs met. So I talked about the prompt hierarchy. I just want to briefly go over that. So you always want to start with the aided language stimulation, which is the modeling. So once you feel that, you've modeled enough times, you're then going to start the prompting hierarchy. So from least to most, you would do an indirect visual cue, which is when you just gesture to the device or the board, or you move it just closer to them. Then you would give a direct visual cue, which is when you directly point at the message. You directly point at the message the individual may want to use. So you would gesture to the actual icon that they would want to use. An indirect verbal cue is when you would give a hint or a partial cue. So you could say, like, you could give an open-ended sentence. Let's say you want them to use the word in. You could say put, and then you would have them point to in. A non-directive model, which is when you give the individual, you tell them something like, I think it's A, and you model some messages that it could be. And then if they're still unable to get it, I would recommend to re-expose them to the core vocabulary and increase their motivation. So you want to make sure that the device is being used in an environment that's motivating to them and with core words that they will want to use and that is appropriate for them. And like I said before, you want to always try to avoid physical prompting, which is, you're actually taking their hand and doing it for them, because this takes away from the child making the choice on their own. So some final thoughts. The road to great outcomes can be so much longer than the road to poor outcomes. We need to lay a solid foundation, and that takes time. I'm just moving my face. We all love to get immediate results, but the more realistic scenario is slow and steady gains. So before I do get to the questions, I do have some things next to me I would like to show you. I'm going to stop my screen sharing. Okay. So first, what I would like to show you, these are our fun necklaces that we wear every day. So there's some visuals that we use with our kids. So it's walk, sit, line up, hands down, look, quiet, wait, stop, take turns, and then a first and then, which is great, and help. So all of these we use all throughout the day when we're, transitioning our kids back to therapy, when we go into the classroom and we're doing a group session, if we want them to sit or, it's time to be quiet, if they're taking turns in therapy. So these should be used by all therapists, by all teachers to help our visual kiddos, who need that visual help to help, to further understand. So if this is something you are interested in for your child, or if you want your teachers to implement this at your school, I would be happy to email these to you. And they're really fun necklaces that you can wear around your neck every day. I also wanted to show you a core board, which is what I showed you online, but this is right here. So this core board, you can communicate so many different things. It looks like the one in the video. This is also something that if you are interested in, I can email you as well. Just let me know. And last, I have our speech generated device. There we go. You can see it. So this is NovaChat's, it's touch chat. So if I click I want to eat, it opens up, all these fringe vocabulary words. So cookies, fruit snacks, pretzels, goldfish, crackers. And what's great about this is it can be, specific to your client or your child's needs. So let's say they don't eat, pretzels. You can change it and make it whatever they do want to eat, pizza or pasta or ice cream or anything of that sort. What's also great about this is depending on your client's skill level, you can change the amount of pictures you see. So I'm going to show you as I scroll. So, this is for someone that maybe is new to AEC and there's, having 60 icons is too much for them. So you can make it even less. So I want, and the icons are a little bit bigger. And then you can also see that some are even hidden. We hid some of these so that, we only want them to use the pictures that they see. So I want to show you that this is the 25, and then I'm going to show you the 60. So this, there we go, obviously has way more pictures, way more vocabulary, way more, in the field. So for someone who's more of a proficient user, this would, could be a great match for them. So if you have any more questions about this device, you can send me an email. This is something that you can get through, school for your kid or through your insurance. It's called Sotillo is the brand, and it's NovaChat. And that is it. Any questions?
Yes, Jennifer. We have
Yes.
questions. Don't forget, we have a carryover question from earlier. Your former presenter fielded a question. We're tossing it your way based on your area of expertise. So that initial question, let me get it for you here, answered. Would an oral motor disorder associated with swallowing necessarily happen consistently or constantly every time they eat, or can it happen sporadically?
So it really depends, on what they're eating, their positioning. If there is some oral motor weakness, it definitely could affect their swallowing. If they have a weak tongue, it would affect the, propelling the food back, or even a decreased chewing pattern. All of these can affect the swallow. So I would definitely recommend that if you are seeing, some coughing, to definitely, contact your speech pathologist for an evaluation. But it might not necessarily happen every time. It depends. There's a lot of factors.
Okay, and then another question. From what age can AAC begin to be used effectively? Should you wait to see specific delays in language development before deciding to implement?
So AAC can be started, as soon as you feel that they are able to attend to the pictures and understand. So if you present this to your kiddo and they're not looking, they're not pointing, then it's not appropriate for them, and you can revisit it later when you feel that their attention is a little bit better. And what was the second part? I'm sorry.
That's okay. It just was a follow-up. Should you wait to see specific delays in language development before deciding to implement, I guess, the AAC?
So like I said, it's not necessarily, you can be using it with, they might have some delays, but they might just be, they might end up being typical. They might just need a little bit of those models. So you can start implementing it as early as you would like. It doesn't necessarily have to wait for that delay.
Terrific. We have another one. Earlier, you mentioned in your presentation about focusing on how to express knowledge through question and answer format. For example, what do you want? What might or what would be a better way for a parent to communicate they want to know what their kid wants if the child is verbal?
That's a great question. So I always give options. So give them choices. So do you want a muffin or do you want a cookie? And you would have them verbally tell you the cookie or the muffin. So I always, instead of just saying, do you want the cookie? You give them the choices so that they're able to expressively tell you what they want. Does that answer your question?
Yes, fantastic. And then we have one more specifically regarding funding. For instance, Medicaid, grants, et cetera, to assist parents in purchasing these assistive or devices.
So it depends. If your child is enrolled in school, you could get a school device, through the Department of Education, or you can go through your insurance, which your speech language pathologist would help you with. So if that's something you are interested in, you can contact me, or you can contact, whoever your speech language pathologist is seeing, and have them assist you with that process.
Okay, terrific. Now we got started on the questions before. You might have thrown up your contact information or resources page.
Sorry, yes, I will go back to that.
Throw that up, share your whatever.
Have any
questions? More questions?
You can email me at my email, jslutsky@annstorckcenter.org. Please send me any questions you may have. I'm happy to answer them. And for resources, you can visit our website right here.
Now, we had one more question.
Oh,
those necklaces. That's a DIY. We did those, and how we do those are you can purchase them. You're going to send a link where you can purchase those necklaces.
So if you would like, I can find the PDF for them, and definitely either if you want to email me, or I can put them up on the resource page. I just have to find that PDF. But I will be happy to do that.
Just by me looking at it, it looks like a really neat kind of thing that you could do.
It's awesome.
You can laminate, you can make it.
Exactly. There's tabs to help you access them.
So for the creative person, otherwise we'll make those available on the resources. I think that's just a wonderful thing. That's a great show and tell. Show and tell. This has been fun. Okay, any more questions? That concludes 4 questions at the moment. Anybody else have any more questions? I'm going to leave it open just for a couple of seconds. Take your time.